You're not gathering outside close near each other. And we will call you up one at a time. Officer Brogdon's here to help facilitate some of that. Who has a sign-up sheet?
It's still outside.
Has everyone that wants to speak signed up? Yes, no, maybe?
Do they need the phone number also?
And we can. And Mr. Train's here with the recording. Okay. Are you live? No.
No, we don't wait. That's not before people speak.
Okay.
I need to walk off half of it.
I don't have it.
Next time.
Is he sitting up here? You have a laptop?
How many do you want in here?
I think people need to be at least 6 feet apart.
Alright. That'll work. Yep. Yeah.
On the other side. Yeah.
When y'all work in the same office. That's right. I think we're in the same car. Well, then, Zach and Gary's rules to be governed there.
Yeah, they're in the same household, so they can sit together. Well, now there's not space. I apologize, y'all. As we all know, this is very, very unprecedented time in our community, and we're trying to handle it the best way we know how. We certainly don't want to be the hot spot for Darien as a result of a workshop.
I'm moving the chair right
It's
here.
right down up here too, and I have hand sanitizer. Y'all need it. We certainly want to hear from the public, but we certainly don't want to put anyone at risk. Good? Thank you. Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Darien Planning and Zoning Commission workshop. Thank you for your patience with the separation and ensuring everyone's safety. We'll go ahead and get started on our agenda for the meeting tomorrow. Whew, this is hot. It was a variance request by Mr. Art Lucas with Oaks on the River project requesting a height variance. There was previously, I believe Karen, you addressed this on the sign. There's also a special permit. Our board will not be hearing that. That goes straight to the city council. They will hear that next week. And Karen, if you want to go ahead and address the variance request.
Yes, the original request, this is for the 205 Fort King George, which would be the location of the hotel. And the request, it was originally for a height variance up to 46 feet. However, that's been reduced. You should have in the folder I left on at each place, there should be 2 letters, the original letter and the second letter. The second letter has reduced the request to 39 feet, which is actually 6 inches shorter than current condominium, which was passed a little over a year ago for the variance. Basically a 3-story building, just like the other townhouses over here, or 4-story condos over by Skipper's. So there's definitely precedent for this, and as I said, the request is down to 39 feet. And that's really all the information I have. I know Mr. Lucas wants to do a presentation on his request for variance, and his attorney would like to explain how his request meets the criteria for variance.
Okay.
Mr. Lucas, would you like to go first, or would you like your attorney?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Can I pull this down temporarily to talk? What do you think,
And
ma'am?
I would prefer you not, because that's when
Okay.
the air comes out. I
Okay.
know it's hard, so I have to give an opening statement.
I guess everybody can hear me. Well, thank you for, I know it's complicated times to have a meeting, but thank y'all for being here and looking at this. This is Oaks on the River, looking for a variance for height. And the first thing I want to show you, which is not easy to see, is this is our project when it's all done. And the hotel is going to be in the center right here, which doesn't show up very well. This is the condominiums here, the restaurant, which y'all can see is going up. The restaurant will be completed probably, should have been the end of May. It's now going to be June because the virus is shut down some plants that were making specialty windows. And then when they all get here, it'll be June before that's done. The restaurant's here, but it's pretty much on schedule. And then the hotel, the front of the hotel is right here. You'll see these entrances coming into the hotel here. This will be the exit going out. There's a portico right here, which you'll be able to come in and drive under. The hotel has 3 floors, and then it kind of goes across like this, and then it goes in the back, which is where the restaurant is, and some rooms are kind of going back in that direction. And then right over here is going to be the pool. It'll be a very nice pool. We'll hopefully, nice days, we'll serve lunch out by the pool at the hotel. And then, of course, if we get the dock approved, then the dock will kind of tie in and will come down here. So anyway, this is where the hotel's going to be. This is probably 90% how this is going to look, although we're still, working on it. I've hired a guy who's in St. Martin's right now. They don't have airfare down to St. Martin's. They can cancel all the flights. Who will be our general manager of the future? I want to bring him up here. If we get everything approved, then we're going to do the final construction drawings. And but the hotel's going to look pretty close to this. This is the front view of it. As you can see, it's 3 stories. And the portico, which doesn't really show here, will come out. It doesn't, this photograph doesn't show well. The color, we're not going to do white. We're going to do a different color. So we'll have a different color for the hotel, and to be determined. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. That'll give you kind of a sense of it. Now, variance request. We need to make it higher. We need the 3 stories to do what we need to do. It'll be 6 inches lower than the condos, according to the architect. So it's going to be, you won't be able to tell really, but if you look at it from the street, it'll be 6 inches shorter. 3 stories above ground. And then factors to grant a variance. I will now turn this over to my colleague.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, y'all. My name is Cap Russell, and I represent Mr. Lucas and Oaks on the River, trying to help get some of this work done. And so I've given y'all a sheet with 4 factors, and I'll try to just briefly run through this that y'all already have them. But the first factor being, that we have to meet in order to get variance. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to particular piece of property in question, size, shape, and topography. Now, as far as size and shape goes, we can't just think about the lot, we have to think about what's surrounding it. We have Fort King George on one side, we have the condos on the other side, we have the Darien River on the far side, and on this side we have the Tabby Ruins. So when you actually factor all of that in, the buildable size of this lot is greatly reduced. And in order to, and I'll get it to the next point, but in order to build what we have to build for this to be a successful hotel, and there's just not enough room to build out to have the proper number of rooms. And we're going to have to build it up, which is why we're asking for this variance request. Obviously, only a few feet more than the variance, but so it's not going to be a huge building. Second, we're looking at topography. This piece of land slopes off Fort King George Drive off that bluff. And that just further greatly reduces the buildable area because you can't build on that slope coming down. Again, you have to build up, not out. And those are the exceptional circumstances and conditions that exist. This is why the first factor is met. Second, the application of these regulations to this particular piece of property would create an unnecessary hardship. So Mr. Lucas and Oaks on the River have received a professional consultant, a hotel advisor to come in, look at Darien, look at the project. And they told him that in order for the hotel to be successful financially, there needs to be at least 50 or more rooms. Now, if we can't get more than 35 feet, we can't build enough. I have a big enough building to have 50 or more rooms. The unnecessary hardship is this project will fail, and it'll be unnecessary hardship on the city of Darien as well, and the loss in revenue that can occur. Further, even if we did build it and it was below the 50 plus rooms, it would be pretty hard to get a hotel manager in there knowing that it's a project that's destined to fail. Third condition is that there are peculiar conditions related to this particular piece of property. Now, we have two very peculiar conditions. One, the ancient live oak tree that you all know very much about, and the Tabby Ruins off to the side. Now, again, the buildable size, so we don't trample on the fragile root system or on the structure of the ruins. It's just further pushed in. Again, we have to build up, not out, due to these peculiar conditions. And last, that we have to meet the point that relief, if granted, would not cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the purposes and intent of these regulations. Now, the intent of this ordinance that a building can't be more than 35 feet unless a variance is granted is to keep the aesthetics of downtown very nice. There's no huge towers going up, nothing crazy. And y'all can see that no substantial detriment would be made if this variance is granted, because it's going to be lower than the condos, which I actually think make the Darien waterfront look good. I think they are aesthetically pleasing, and I think that it'll help everything look good, especially when considering what they're replacing, the jelly ball plant, which looked terrible, smelled terrible, and this is a huge benefit. If there's any concerns with what the hotel could be blocking as far as views go, one, you couldn't see really anything past the jelly ball plant, if y'all remember. And two, the difference of 4 feet from 35 feet, which is allowed, and 39 feet is so insubstantial that, if you can't see anything, you wouldn't be able to see anything if we were within the ordinances without the variance. There's no detriment to the public good. Really, it only would bring in more jobs, businesses, and taxes, and it only helps the public good. And based on these, relief should be granted because it won't detriment any of these. Thank you all.
Thank you, Cal. Mr. Lucas, does that conclude your presentation?
We got one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
We're gonna make this short and sweet. I just wanted to share some of the positives, and these are things that have come from other people that have told me, but it makes sense. Job creation, and when we did the deal originally with the Development Authority, we had to guarantee so many jobs, and so we're very focused on creating jobs. Every room creates 1.5 jobs, typically in the hotel business. So 53 rooms, and that's what we're designing, will create about 80 new jobs in this community. And the last time I checked, this community needed jobs. Also, they'll create jobs through vendors. We'll be using various vendors. It will not be employees of ours, but they will be doing deep sea fishing for our customers. They'll be in the kayak business. They'll be in the bicycle business, etc. And that's going to create jobs through the vendors. Additional taxes for the city. And the city needs money. But most governments right now are desperate for income. We've estimated on the bed tax, based on our revenues, to create $146,525 in bed tax revenue for the city of Darien. They don't currently have. And this, right now, we know it's around $20,000 in property tax. So that's a substantial amount of money the city's not getting right now. And then the final thing, it's a stimulus for Darien. And we need stimulus in this community. We've got a downtown that's not thriving. We have out on I-95, we have that gigantic collection of buildings that nobody's using. We need some stimulus. And we're in a very tough time right now. And who knows how long this is going to last. The hospitality industry, and that's what hotel is, the hospitality industry. Scott Stile and Sea Island told me that they basically have no reservations for the Sea Island Company going forward this summer. People have just canceled. I mean, the hospitality industry is down 85 to 90% right now. And who knows how long this is going to last. You know, we get control of coronavirus. It'll turn around, we think, long term. I mean, I'm optimistic long term, but this industry's been hit very hard. I'm willing to go forward and spend millions of dollars on this project because long term I think it's going to be a great thing. I think it's going to be a great stimulus for this town. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. I'm just gonna go down the list. Let's see. Did everyone that's in here now sign up to speak? Yes? Okay. What's your name, sir?
Kyle.
Kyle. Oh, you're on the top of the list. That works. Kyle Cabal, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. I guess things kind of changed because I was trying to get come here to get some more information about variance requests since I didn't have an actual number. So I just want to say, I think it's important to keep the heights lower. So I mean, I think that's more realistic what he's asking for. And so I mainly wanted to talk about the other issues, but about the number of rooms. So there's not a whole lot I guess I can say about that then right now since the issue's been moved. So
The city council will have that issue before the next week
The 18th, Monday the 18th.
Monday.
for their workshop.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I'm concerned about issues with parking and the size of that for this community. I guess I'll have to wait until the next meeting to talk more about that. So really, that's all I wanted to say for right now, I guess.
Well, thank you, and thank you
Thanks.
for your input. I can't read this one, I apologize. Thomas?
I'll pass. I was with Kyle on it. My questions have been answered. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Joe Train?
Scratch me too, please, Ms. Shepherd.
Okay. Wesley Tippins?
You want me to go up there?
Hey, I'm Wes Tippins, and we live at 206 Fort King George, and this is all going on at 205 Fort King George. And I have a couple of questions, always do. One question is that if it required a special permit before it or did the dock require a special permit before it went to the city council? So why wouldn't we be here today talking about a special permit too?
I'm sorry, say again?
Yeah, I know, right? Sorry. So when we had the dock permit before, and I don't mean to holler, when we had the dock permit before, we had to come and have a special hearing before the P&Z board, and then they did their thing, and then it went to the city. Why didn't we have a special permit hearing before?
Okay, I can answer that.
Okay.
Okay. The city ordinance specifically says for the special permit that it goes to the city manager, and the city manager makes a recommendation to the city council, and the city council has an open meeting and makes the decision. What we had done under the previous administration was he wanted input, the city manager wanted input before he made a recommendation. And he wanted people who deal in planning and zoning and those types of things to give him a recommendation. So his requirement to planning and zoning was have an open meeting, give me a recommendation that I can then take to the city council. So that's what we did. The current city manager prefers to go strictly by the city ordinance. So that same type open meeting will be on the 18th at 5:30 at the city council meeting.
So we'll have the hearing on the 17th and at the workshop?
No, the 18th is the workshop,
18th workshop.
and the 19th is the actual city council meeting. So it'll be exactly the same type operation. It's just the city council is going to do it exactly the way it says in the ordinance.
Okay. All right. So my next question is that, so why were these ordinances originally made? Why did we originally create these ordinances? Why were they put into place that they couldn't exceed 35 feet?
That code was also established, what was the year? I mean, how old is that code, Karen? I mean, it's over, what,
There's been
26 years or something like
No,
that?
it's not 2008.
But for what reason is what I'm saying? For what reason? Is to protect the owners next to it, or?
That same code allows for variance request as well. So that's why we're here. It's part of the process. We have residential property owners that come in and ask for a variance request for a particular piece of property for a setback, so that they can adequately build their homes or cottages. So that's the catch-all for the code to allow for the variation if need be based off a particular piece of property.
But they were originally written to protect other people, right? To protect the people around them, to protect the value of the properties next to the buildings and that kind of thing, right? And so every time we come here, it seems like that we state our objections to them, but nobody ever follows the ordinance. I mean, it's all that we give them a variance for everything. You know, I mean, we ought to follow the ordinance. You know, that's why we put them here, was to protect the value of everybody's property, right? Not for one or two people to have profit and the others not to, right? So we need to try to follow those. One thing is too is that he's asking for 4 foot, okay, now with the new letter, I guess 4 foot to 39 feet, but he's hauled in 20 foot of dirt. So shouldn't this have been a variance for 24 foot rather than 4 foot?
You'll have to explain that.
He hauled in.
Street elevation.
Which street? The street? Does it say that in the ordinance?
It's based off grade, and grade is at the street level.
Street level, Fort King George. It says that in the ordinance?
No, it doesn't say 14 George street level.
Right,
In
so,
the ordinance, you know it doesn't say that.
I know, right, that's not I don't know, what I'm saying is that, is there a certain elevation we're basing this from?
Now, there's also a dichotomy in the ordinance, okay? Because it's in a CHT-HD district,
Right.
okay, overlay district. That overlay district actually allows 72 feet of height for that building. However, in another part of the ordinance says when there's a conflict in the ordinance, that the more strict applies. It is also, that overlay district sits on a C2 district, okay? A C2 district has a 35-foot height requirement, okay? So you have this issue of, if you go straight by the CHT-HD, he could build 72 feet. If you go by the C2, it's 35 feet. So part of this, the variance request is, what's the right number? Okay, so that's why we open this is opened up and everybody gets to say, because there is this dichotomy within the ordinance itself.
So he can haul in 20 foot of dirt and say, I want to get a variance for 4 foot rather than 24 foot.
Well, he could have also said, I want to apply the CHT-HD strictly, okay, and ask for a variance that way. And that 72 feet is a lot more than 24. So to me, it's a negotiation within the city ordinance.
All right, one thing I did notice is that it doesn't look, well, it looks like that he's gonna pave over the root ball of that big oak tree out there too. So it's only that far away from the bottom of the tree.
If you'll remember back to mid to late 2018, when the condominium was moved because of the tree, the agreement was that would be permeable space out there by the tree.
So he's not gonna pave it?
It is not going to be asphalt. In fact, I have had that discussion this afternoon with the site manager, and everybody understands the agreement from November of 2018 is that is a permeable surface to protect the root system.
Yeah. I like that. One thing is that he really hasn't proven a hardship, except for a financial hardship, and I would think that would have been thought of just before we even got here. You know, that the attorney said that, well, between the condos and the restaurant, there's really not enough room to spread it out and keep that height. However, you can't create your own hardships, right? I mean, you can't build over here and build over here and then say, I got a hardship in the middle now because I done built these two over here, right? So that's not a viable hardship. And I still haven't heard a viable hardship yet. Just putting that out there. Anybody else heard one? Man, that's all. Thank you. Thank y'all for listening.
Missy Wilson?
My name is Missy Brandt Wilson. I grew up in Darien. I'm McIntosh County Academy, class of 1998. I own a home in Darien. I grew up in the Ridge. We split our time between, sorry, I'm like sucking in this mask here, so I apologize. We split our time between here in Athens, Georgia. Just, so everybody kind of knows what I've been up to. I'm actually the area director of sales for McNeil Hotel Company. We own Hiltons and Marriotts from DC to Oregon. And my portfolio is Athens, and I have Hiltons in my portfolio. In fact, Before that, I was the director of sales for the Athens Convention Visitors Bureau. My job was economic development to bring 6,000 person conventions to Athens, which I did extremely well, which is why I now work for McNeil Hotel Company. So if there's anything I do know, it's Darien, it's Athens, and it's hotels. In fact, so well, last week, just so you guys know, a little bit of background, I had the global head of Hilton call me because my hotel in Athens achieved 100% during COVID when the other hotels in the portfolio across the world achieved 14%. So I know hotels, and I'm here today because I'm an interested party in what's going on the waterfront. I also sit on a planning committee for Athens Park County government and the planning department. I am on the historic portion of that, which is, if you've been to Athens, it's a good portion of that, and we work hand in hand with planning. When a developer or owner submits a variance, they have to prove the hardship, not just come before you with a letter and say it's hard. They have to actually prove it. The way they prove that hardship is with measurements, with blueprints, with plans. A letter should not be sufficient enough. Citizens deserve to see the plans. Any new plans past the deadline are only allowed if the board votes to submit it. If they are drastically different, we usually give the options table. 14 days prior, an agenda is posted, and it's usually just a PDF. And then 7 days prior, the application is posted. And then if someone requests the entire application, then it can be mailed or emailed to them. And this is allowed to allow citizens, taxpayers, interested parties, so that we can be informed before we show up to a meeting and have to find out everything from a PowerPoint. And this is for one of two reasons, that you want to inform your people, because you don't want to cause chaos and then vote the way you already decided you're going to vote. And, or you just don't trust the judgment of your citizens. Darien is my home. I'm trying very hard to make it the home of my children. We all deserve a quality of life here. Yes, the 2009 aptly named Cultural Heritage and Tourism District Ordinance was a growth plan. So after the recession, the governor of Georgia necessitated all the coastal counties to make a growth plan. And actually it was a pretty good growth plan for Darien. It put bike and nature trails along the waterfront, which is why we had our public right-of-ways. It did the same along Catfish Creek, and then down 17 through Butler Island. I grew up in the Ridge, and I can tell you that bike trail is a great addition to the Ridge. I was part of the group that asked them to put the bridges over that. In fact, now that I get to walk it with my children, it makes it even special. I told them that this bridge is here over these trees because of mommy, and they did not care the other day. But one day they will. So if you take that path at the Ridge, connect it to downtown, connect it to those public right-of-ways that we did have, connect it through Butler Island, you can imagine the quality of life that would be here. I'm not against growth. My whole job is working for a company that buys and builds hotels. From what I've read and seen, the tax revenue won't come as promised. We have football, Notre Dame, $700 to $1,100 a night. Over the year, I was nowhere near a $200 ADR. So for Darien to be able to achieve that would be miraculous, especially after the time of COVID. Also, before I moved to Athens, I worked for a hotel called the Village Inn and Pub on St. Simon's Island. It was a very successful hotel on St. Simon's, built in a historic district, around oak trees, with pervious pavement, and only 35 rooms. And we also recovered quicker from the recession than a lot of other hotels around us. So it is possible to do that. And a recovery from COVID for a hotel that's not even built yet should be on every citizen's mind as this hotel is being built. Because done correctly, a boutique will flourish. Done incorrectly, a boutique will fail. I was 14 years old when the outlet mall was built. I was employed by the outlet mall. It was a great boom for our tax revenue. But 25 years later, look what we've inherited. It is very, very important that you guys take that ordinance, especially the design. And I can tell you the design that I saw tonight is not Darien. The design that I've already seen built is not Darien. The restaurant looks a little bit more like Darien. I was watching Christmas on the Coast. For some reason, a pay-for-cable channel in Athens decided that everybody wanted to watch it on replay over Christmas this year. So I got to see that movie quite a bit. And the shot of Darien was amazing. That shot has now changed, but the reason that those filmmakers chose that shot is because Darien is a cute fishing village. Yeah, shrimping's going to change. Yeah, things are going to change, but we are a cute shrimping village, and we are a cute fishing village, and we have charm, and we have history, some of the biggest history in the state. We need to build on our resources, not give them away. I'm asking you to keep our waterfront, increase the quality of life for its citizens and the future generations. Yes, we need jobs here. I agree with that. But as we saw with the outlet mall, we had jobs and we don't. So we need to do, and you guys have that purview, and City Council has that purview, to take it, make it look like Darien, make it fit in, not these variants. Let's take this project as a whole, whittle it down to what the community is good for, and what we will contribute, and what they will contribute to us, and then move forward. I'm asking you to deny and quit piecemealing this project. Let's present it as a whole and whittle it down. We have a jewel, let's polish it, but because I just saw some information on this PowerPoint, and as a hotelier, I do want to address some of those things. So, why do we not have enough room as a hardship? No measurements were given, so how do we know we don't have enough room? That's why it's so important to be given topography, given exact measurements. I can tell you on a planning committee I sit on, without measurements, without topography, I would automatically be asked to table or deny. How much is a slope? Once again, we need topography measurements. Without accurate measurements, how can we provide a hardship? Besides a letter, we need to know why it's a real and true hardship, because more growth is coming to Darien, and we need to be able to ask the right questions so we can ask the right questions the next time. And what is the justification? So because 50 rooms was brought into it, I just want to bring in this. What is the justification for 50 rooms? Is it part of the, if it's part of the hardship request, it needs to be proven. And also, I did also just go out there and look at the limbs. I'm glad to hear that it's pervious parking. I'm glad that we asked again because, as we know, variances and things do change. Lowering the condos is nice. Lower than the condos is nice, but it doesn't, again, prove a hardship. What is the hardship there? And also, why is design not part of this hardship? The cultural, historic, and tourism variance also addresses design guidelines in that ordinance. Why has that not come before you guys? Has a variance been given and just people have not? But once again, design is probably the most important part of that whole project. I'm not against a hotel on the waterfront. I am for a hotel done right on the waterfront. And once again, though, the numbers I've seen, I think that there is accountability there for the tax revenue and the jobs. I think there should be a job training program. If there is, one of the things that we do is we work with local organizations to make sure people are trained for jobs before we come in and start hiring for the hotel. So there should be a partnership to train people, because you just can't walk in and work at a hotel. It takes customer service, it takes knowing how to clean, and let me tell you, your clean room is going to speak more to you in the time of COVID. And also, everything is changing in the hotel world due to COVID, so there needs to be a training program for that. So there should be, if there's a hardship, and part of it is because we need more rooms, and part of it is job creation, there should be a training program that comes from that to train these locals to work in this project. Once again, I hope if I impress one thing on you guys, it's keep our charm, keep that cute fishing village, keep a quality of life. I think that biking trail and cultural trail plan should go forward, and the design is one of the things that I know I mentioned before. That hotel is sitting right next to where the Magnolia used to be. What a great opportunity to mirror that hotel after the Magnolia, which is a hotel we lost after the hurricane. I think that's a great opportunity, because if there's one thing that we know in hotels, it's product development. People want a story. You don't want to go to a hotel in Athens and see nothing about UGA, nothing about Bulldogs, nothing about anything. You want product in there. You want something that's going to evoke feeling. Well, when you come to a hotel in Darien, Georgia, you're going to want the same experience, and you want a story. So I think we could actually do Mr. Lucas a favor and give him that story, and that story is Darien. Thank you.
Thank you, Missy. Michelle Mansour? These are the,
From before.
yeah, okay, gotcha.
So, I mean, before it was 46 feet, and now it's come down some, and that's kind of what we're going. I do have one question, though. How is the number of rooms and the height variance? I know there are two different things in the books, right? But for Mr. Lucas, aren't they the same thing? Because he needs more rent, more space, and he can't go out and has to go up? Is that the thing?
Would you still need the I think what she's trying to ask is, would you still need the variance for the height?
If you don't get that,
if you don't get the, amount of rooms extended. Correct me if I'm wrong, is that?
You
Yes,
got-
you're right.
The kind of, we're going to be doing a destination hotel where people will come and we do various functions for them. But unless you have a minimum of 50, and 50 is really not enough, but that's a start. We're asking for 53. You can't make it economically viable. 35 rooms doesn't work. We had a guy who was involved in building 200 hotels around the world. He was our consultant. He even spent 3 days in Darien. And then we have another fellow who's been in the hotel industry 40 years, who we hired as our general manager. And they both said, unless you get over the 50 mark, this isn't going to work. And I'm not going to spend millions of dollars building a hotel when people tell me it's not going to work. So, so 35 rooms doesn't, 35 rooms work, I'd be happy with it. It doesn't work for what we're trying to do.
But you didn't answer my question.
I'm sorry?
You really didn't. I mean, so if you are not giving the 53
Well,
rooms,
Do you still need the height variance?
Well, yes, we have to have 3 floors. You have to do the 50 plus rooms.
No, but what if you're not given, I mean, that's not up to question right now. Is that reneged?
Well, it all goes together. I mean, you have to have so many rooms.
That's what I'm
And then we have
saying.
to have the height too to make it work. Yeah.
Okay, so if you get, let's say you do get the 53 rooms and you need 1.5 employees per room, is what you said?
That's what people tell me, yes.
Okay, so that's 100,
No, it's about 80.
oh, about 80, okay.
Yeah.
And will you have enough parking spaces at that point for your employees as well?
Ask Karen. He's our parking guru, and we passed the muster with the city on that issue. Yeah, we got more parking.
I know about the hotel rooms. You told me about the rooms and about how it's the first 10 and then it goes on.
The number of parking spaces, as outlined on the site plan, meet the city ordinance requirements.
Yes.
For employees as well.
It meets the city ordinance requirements.
Okay, those were my questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Kim Rollerson?
oh, she could do that.
Okay. Kyle, you're spoke, and Missy. Is there anyone else out there that wants to speak? That was all that was on the list, so. No. They left?
Yeah, there's nobody outside.
Okay. Thank you. They didn't sign up either. Jack and Terry. And Mr. Train, you're posting this on Facebook, correct? Okay, good. So, Jack and Terry that left will be able to review it. Did anyone else want to speak
Can I
while
just
they're here?
ask one quick question? On your site plan, is the 3, because the property that was there before obviously had a lower, was, where like the concrete pad was down lower that was taken out.
Application after the notice has been put in the paper, do you allow?
I'm sorry, Hannah.
If someone, sorry,
If somebody asked for what?
to see the application or any of the related documents that Mr. Lucas provides after.
They're all available downstairs.
Okay, and they just need to come in and ask for them.
All they gotta do is ask.
And I say, like, several attempts were made to get actual plans, and all we were given was a letter.
Yes.
For this?
For this.
What about a letter?
The only thing that we were given was a letter. Several attempts were made to get actual plans, because being on planning committee, I was.
No, you received exactly what I received.
Okay, so,
The letter.
Darien.
The letter on the variance.
Okay.
Hasn't it been the opinion of planning and zoning in the past for Mr. Lucas not to engineer the full plans until he gets approval for these variance requests?
That doesn't make sense.
No, that has been stated at
That's what they
multiple
told us.
planning and zoning meetings, And
Yeah.
Mr. Cox was very adamant that he was doing it incorrect when he brought plans to the meeting before, because he hadn't gotten approval, so why would you spend all that money?
We were told
So
not
he's
to
been
put
told to
in
bring
construction
concepts
plans.
to the meeting.
I can answer something about that. What he said was final construction documents. That is entirely different from the schematic design, which would show the layout, the number of rooms, relationship of all the rooms into the building, the site and everything else. That's a very different. Having worked in a Barton architectural firm, I can say there's a difference between those. You don't make that final development wisely, I think, on your part, until you know you can proceed. But the schematic design is the basis of that, and you have to enter into that phase before, of course, you come to your final construction documents. So someplace there's a schematic design which would show everything else, maybe not down to a quarter inch, but it would show everything else in relationship in general heights and widths and footprints and setbacks. That's all in schematic documents.
We have done a lot of sketches and maybe the architect. Nobody's asked us to present those, and so we have not done that.
But I think, by my points, that's, I believe, what Mr. Potts was speaking to.
Kieran, for tomorrow, can we, and this is outside, I guess, of what, this is more as me as a private citizen, it is, I think, what the question before us is, do we approve the extra 4 feet? Get that. But what I'm having a hard time, as a private citizen, in my head justifying this whole project, is, again, it comes back to, I'm stepping out of my role of planning and zoning, is parking, right? Like, so with the bigger restaurant, now with the bigger hotel and the condos, I'm not making that math work on how that's going. Because here's what, but it's within zone, it's outside of the purview of this board, right? Because, I mean, it meets the requirement, but I think it's in the best interest of the development to consider maybe underground parking underneath the hotel.
Very expensive.
I understand that, and it's not, and again, I'm talking as a private citizen,
Yeah.
I'm honest. So,
There's a cost benefit to everything.
I get it, I want people to be able to.
And you know, we're the only ones probably in the city that's doing the required parking. I mean, B&J's, forget that. They don't, I mean, tell me any other restaurant around here that's being held accountable. We're being held accountable, which I'm okay with. I'm fine with that. But most people in Darien have never been held accountable on parking.
Did you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Just a real quick, just kind of touching back, it seems like a common theme
Can you
over
tell
the
us
past.
your name, please?
Zach Crumpler.
Okay.
Seems like a common theme over the past, 10-minute discussion or so had been availability of plans. Is there, I know throughout different jurisdictions, before most planning and zoning meetings, they, basically once they receive plans, permits, notices, of request for variance, those files are posted online on a public database. Is that something that the city could look into on adding to their website?
Yeah, and in fact, the new city manager is working to get us into the 21st century.
And I totally understand
Yeah.
that's, it's not something that you can just flip the switch and have, but I was just curious if we were working towards.
The city does have a website. It's, quite honestly, it's not active right now.
Okay.
And he is already negotiating to get that changed.
Thank you. Okay. I appreciate everyone's input. Oh, sure. Yeah. I was getting us. I was just thinking that. And I didn't formally, I guess I was waiting for tomorrow, but I want to welcome our 2 new board members, Bill Barton and Griffin Watson. Welcome. And we'll do a more formal welcome tomorrow night. Yes, Mr. Temple.
My question was, is how many patrons is Clay planning on being able to hold in his restaurant?
I'm sorry.
Do we know what the max occupancy is gonna be at the restaurant?
The seating is 224.
224 people?
Right, but parking is done on square footage, not on chairs.
So that's maximum occupancy.
Oh Lord, can I get no parking signs in front of my house?
What do you think about it now?
Huh? They gotta park somewhere, so they'll be on the sidewalk in front of my house.
Yes.
Did anyone else have a question related to the variance request?
I did. Is it possible when the plans become available that we could actually get Google Doc links to them, even if the website's not available? That way we're not asking questions on the fly, and, you know, these meetings could be a little bit more shorter instead of, that way everybody's kind of on the same page about what we're seeing.
Kieran gets an
I
application from.
I'm sorry, I was a field artillery officer. I got bad ears to begin with, and
She wants to know if they can get the plans from like a Google link document.
yeah, we've done that before on other plans. When I get the documents, I get them electronically as well as in paper copies, because I'm old school. I like to have a piece of paper. But once I get the electronic copies, that's a public document, and all you got to do is ask, and we'll email it to you or whatever.
Thank you, Kieran. All right. Did you guys have any questions for Mr. Lucas or?
So I recognize that the only thing we're voting on tomorrow is the variance of the height, and that what the room number is different from variance. It's a special permit, and I get that. But it does seem that the height, the variance of the height, is dependent on the room size of the hotel, possibly. So I want to ask you a question about that. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a question, too, about the hardship, which is primarily financial, that you won't be able to make a profit with less than 50 rooms. I believe that's what I heard you say. The term profit, of course, is pretty squishy, and it can mean a lot of things. And you may not be willing to do this, but would you be willing to tell us what your return on investment that you're aiming for is for this investment in the hotel? Because the profit could be $1, you could want $1 million. We don't know what that is. We know only that you say you can't make a profit without letting us know what the profit is you're trying to make. So can you shed a little more light on that?
Well, we're a private company. We don't share the private financial information.
Okay. When did you learn that?
But as an investor in Darien, if we can't get a return on our investment, we can't spend the money.
Yeah, I understand. I was just wondering how large
People aren't lined up to do that right now.
When did you learn that you would need to have 50 rooms to be profitable, whatever that means?
Probably when did the consultant come? Probably in December this past year. We had a consultant who's done these projects all over creation. And we got in, we did a deep dive into the numbers. I'm not a hotel person by training. So I hired a guy who was an expert. And we looked at the numbers, and based on what we want, the kind of hotel we want to have. Now, you could do a bed and breakfast, and, you know, have 5 rooms, 8 rooms, and make a little profit probably. But that's not the kind of hotel we're trying to build. We're trying to build a upscale boutique, destination kind of place. And we've got a marketing plan to do that, and we've got extensive. We're going to be promoting ecology. We're going to be promoting the LEEDS concept. We're going to be very environmentally friendly with what we do. And it's going to take time to do this. This is, you know, I've never made money fast in my life. It's always been one brick at a time. And so when I view this hotel, we're going to build it kind of one brick at a time. So it'll take some time to do it. And the first year, I'll share this with you. From the first year, if we break even, we'll be exceeding our goal. The second year, we should make a slight profit. By year 3, we should be hitting our stride. So I have a long-term viewpoint of a return. So this is not a get-rich-quick scheme overnight. And now with the virus, the hotel industry is flat on its back. And people are scared of this industry right now. I mean, it's a scary time. So I think what we're trying to do can be wonderful for Darien. I mean, I grew up here as a kid. If I didn't have a connection to McIntosh County, I wouldn't be doing this, because no rational person would be doing this. based on what's going on right now. I mean, I'm being honest with you. Rational people don't invest here because they look at the numbers and I'm a long-term guy and I'm going to look at it and we're going to build it one brick at a time. And I think long-term we can make it work. It's a very high-risk investment. I mean, you can go out and buy Georgia bonds and do a lot better, you know, more guaranteed. But I'm willing to do it. So, and I think but we've got to have some variances to make it work. The variances were put into play. I think that the variance with the room thing, which was 35 rooms, I know that's top of the agenda tonight, that was put into play back in 2004 or something. Who came up with that idea at the time? Who knows? And what the justification was. But I'm a businessman, I'm looking at real numbers, what we think we can get. We're going to try to be on the high side with our rate. That's a fight. It's a real tough thing to do. You have to have a real high-level kind of hotel to do that. A high-touch, high-service kind of place. But, you know, I'm betting, I've built businesses before, so I'm betting we can do it again. And I think I've hired a tremendous guy who's going to be my general manager to help me run this place. So, I mean, that's the story here. And y'all got the right to say, no, you can't do this and whatever. And if so, I'll say, well, I'm sorry I'm not going to do this project, but then I want to invest my money.
So I understand all that. So in August of 2018, you signed a legally binding document with the McIntosh Industrial Development Authority,
right,
in which you said you would invest between $6 and $7 million in a hotel not to exceed 40 rooms, 35 to 40 rooms. You were very specific as to the number of jobs it would create, the revenue. In fact, you're showing less revenue here than you did in 18
and I
in
found
sales
out
tax.
later on that number didn't work.
Well,
you need to build a hotel. Let's build a bigger hotel.
Okay, let me finish if I may. But nonetheless, in 2018, the end of that year, you had some reason to believe a 40-room hotel would work, and in fact, you entered into a binding agreement to do that. Are you telling us that you entered into that?
I'm not limited to do something a little bigger. There's nothing in that agreement that we were building a 53-room hotel. They won't be, in fact, they're excited about me building something a little bigger.
My question is, did you know at the time you entered into that agreement that a 40-room hotel, being the astute businessman you say you are, would not have been profitable?
I didn't know, to be honest with you, until I really got down and drilled deep into the numbers. They wanted me to create jobs. To create jobs, hotels do that. Being on a river is a hospitality zone. It's a perfect place to do that. It's not a great place to have a factory, which used to be there. It's a great place to do what we're doing. Restaurant, condos, a hotel. And 40 was the number we came up with, but it wasn't a number that we were going to fall on our sword. And when the information came to me that 40 was not a number that made sense, we then had to change our plan.
Okay, I understand. I'm just wondering, it seems to me that before you would enter a man of your expertise into a legal contract binding the IDA, that you would have done some more research.
Well, we guaranteed that.
Right.
But it didn't prevent us from going a little higher.
Right. So then one more question, again, since you raised the issue about jobs. Your condos originally had 8 condos and a hotel and restaurant and retail space below them.
Right.
You made the claim at that time that it would generate 26 jobs. Less than a month after the closing of this contract with the IDA, all of that space was taken out, and you added 4 more condominiums, effectively killing 26 jobs at that point.
No, we added a restaurant.
And as the IDA, I'll tell you, that's not exactly how that happened. The plan was changed to accommodate the tree.
Yeah.
Mr. Lucas looked at his site plan and realized that it would be better to build his condos further down towards the residential section and then do a standalone restaurant. So therefore, the number of jobs created by the restaurant, we expect to exceed 26.
Yeah, we're going to exceed 26.
And we will have additional jobs with the hotel to exceed any of the numbers that were originally agreed upon.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not trying to argue with you about this.
No,
What
no,
I'm
just
trying to do
clarification.
But
is
the bottom,
say there's a story here.
Bill, the bottom line is, you're missing the bottom line. The bottom line is, we are greatly exceeding what we promised to do when we signed an agreement. We're not coming in less, we're coming in more, and we're spending more money to do that. So we could have walked away and say, oh, now that we've got to change because of the tree, this isn't going to work. We didn't do that. We figured out another way to make it work.
Well, thank you.
Anybody else from the board have any questions? Mr. Watson? Yes, Mr. Tippin?
One more thing, there's a list of hardships in the ordinance, right? There is a list of hardships.
There's a definition of an undue hardship, correct?
Right, and none of it is financial.
It doesn't specify, I'm sure. Unless you have something other than what we have in the muni code.
I just don't think it has financial is a hardship.
Well, it doesn't speak to it either way.
No.
It doesn't speak to it either way.
It defines undue hardship and does not clarify one way or another if financial is considered an undue hardship. Mr. Watson is correct.
But again, the only question for this board is the 4 feet.
That's correct.
That's it. You got all other issues with all that.
Well, the other request for the amount of rooms.
Well, right, what about rooms and parking issues and all that stuff?
Yeah, the parking is already gone.
Yeah, parking's already got back.
It's not yet.
Well, the amount of rooms, I usually, again, I want to spend some time, just again, as a private citizen, this is outside of 4 feet, which is all I'm talking about today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out in the middle of or the tail end of a pandemic, we hope.
We hope it's tail end.
All right.